We just published a new blog on how to become a freelance lawyer and start making money. So the good news, which you already know, is that freelancing has become mainstream and it's entirely flexible. You get to choose whether you want to be a part-time virtual associate for one attorney or two attorneys, whether you want to develop an entire freelance business which is full-time, or whether you want to pick up part-time work, project work. You have ultimate flexibility in creating the freelance career that makes sense for you. So what does that career path look like? Well, I'd love to tell you there's one path, but there's not one path. There's not 10 paths. And that's because attorneys are finding a freelance career for a variety of reasons, meeting a variety of their own objectives. Some attorneys are seeking an improved work-life balance with a capped number of hours per week. Some attorneys are caring for small children or aging parents and need to work nights and weekends. Many attorneys love to write, love the intellectual challenge of the practice of law, but don't want to deal with clients. They don't want to go to court. And so they want to build a practice that allows them to do the parts of the practice of law that they love without the parts that they don't. We still have other attorneys that are retired, but in the practice of law, we're blessed in that you don't actually have to give up that intellectual challenge. And so retirees that are looking to pick up additional work in between playing golf and going on vacation and hopefully enjoying their retirement. And the most brilliant of us are, I think, working from the Caribbean. You can have an entire freelance career from a Caribbean beach. So the reason that the career paths vary so much is that you get to determine what path makes sense for you, what that career looks like for you, how many hours you're working, where you're working, who you're working for. You get to build a career that makes sense for your life and your lifestyle. So when you're thinking about a freelance career, there really are two types of work. So you can have more of your virtual associate model, which allows you to work for one or more attorneys on a reoccurring basis. There's also the ability to pick up project work. So a motion, a lease, an agreement. Maybe some of those are longer term projects like complex e-discovery or an M&A transaction that are longer term, but still a defined project. Or you can couple these and you can have one virtual associate type model where you're working for one attorney for 20 or 30 hours a month, and then additionally picking up project work from a variety of other attorneys. But these are really the mechanisms that you can employ in order to build that career, the freelance career that makes sense for you. So when you're thinking about your freelance career, it's important to think about specialization, think about your niche. How are you going to drive your value, your knowledge, your specialization? So it's important to select an area of law or a type of practice that you're going to focus on. Not only does this allow you to hone your skills to become an expert in the area, but it also allows you to charge a higher rate. So that's more money in your pocket. So when you're building your brand, you want to determine the specialization and you want to take work that fits within that. So maybe you're doing corporate bankruptcy, maybe you're doing employer side employment work. Whatever it is, you want to try to take work that's within that practice area and consistent with that specialization you're developing. So again, you have an expertise on that, you can drive a higher rate. It probably goes without saying that the other benefit of finding your specialization, of finding your niche, is that if you're doing what you love to do, you're going to be happier. We're all happier doing what we prefer. So let's turn to the practical realities. Finding clients, you have to have the hiring attorneys if you're a freelance attorney. So a great place to start are legal marketplaces like LAWCLERK. At LAWCLERK, you can simply register for an account as a freelance attorney, provide your credentials, your resume, your bio, give everyone an understanding of your experience, and then you have the opportunity to apply for both project-based work as well as virtual associate type work, subscriptions on 20, 30, 40 hours. So legal market platforms like that are a great way to get started on your freelance career. But additionally, you need to think about marketing, just like if you were otherwise developing a book of business. But in addition, if you're building out your freelancing career, you need to think about marketing. So networking is a key to success. Go to those events. Let folks know that you are developing your freelance career, that you're developing this freelance business. LinkedIn is a great way to share with other attorneys that you're looking to pick up whatever type of work you're looking to pick up. Other professional networking sites. Go to those conferences, shake hands, let folks know that if they have overflow work, that you're interested in helping them. Look for and ask for referrals. You know, when you do a great job and you're working with someone, don't be afraid to say, hey, if you know other folks that are interested or need assistance in this area, please have them give me a call. Attorneys, as you know, are always hitting those peaks where they need extra help. So just take the steps, take the marketing steps so that when those moments happen, you're front of mind and they reach out to you. You may also want to consider making a website. If you're going to be freelancing full time and not just picking up periodic work, you may want to build a website. Now, attorneys more than ever, hiring attorneys are Googling, looking for freelance attorneys, looking for contract-based work. So if you are looking to develop a full-time career, creating a website is also a great way to develop your clients. All right, getting paid. Nobody wants to work for free. So again, the great upside of your legal marketplaces like LAWCLERK is that payment is guaranteed. They manage that process for you so that you will absolutely getting paid for the work you're doing. But if you're doing it on your own, make sure that you have a good fee agreement. Make sure that it's clear about when payment must be tendered, how it must be tendered. Is it a wire? Is it a check? Are there late charges? All of that. Make sure you have that agreement signed up front. When you're setting your rate, think about your experience. You know, have you been practicing 5 years or have you been practicing 20 years? Obviously, that experience is going to dictate the hourly rate you can set. Your specialization, obviously, the more specialized you are, the higher rate you'll be able to charge. But also think about geographic differences. Perhaps you live in a more rural area. You may be able to charge a lower rate compared to somebody in a more urban area. And that may help you get additional work because your rates will be undercutting the folks in a much more urban area, but still paying you certainly a fair and appropriate rate. So think about those geographic differences. Are there ways for you to earn a really good living while undercutting maybe some other higher priced markets? It's also important to think about the technology that you're going to use. You probably will need access to a research tool. So Westlaw and Lexis both have relatively inexpensive packages for solo practitioners, which would include your freelance attorneys. But Fastcase is a wonderful resource. Fastcase has a relationship with almost all of the state bars, and they provide free, which is wonderful, legal research tools. So check out your bar membership and see what relationship they may have with Fastcase or what relationship they may have with other service providers to see what you can take advantage of there. Another technology to think about are scheduling technology. You're going to be communicating with a number of different attorneys. You're going to need to set calls, have meetings, Zoom, etc. And so the easiest way, the best way to do this are scheduling platforms such as Calendly that allow you to schedule meetings with simply a click of the button without the back and forth coordinating. Hugely helpful, huge time savers. You may also want to think about practice management software. How are you going to generate invoices to your clients? How are you going to manage conflicts? Are you going to keep and manage all of the documents you're creating? Clio, it has an excellent practice management software. There are a number of other companies out there that also have practice management software. So you may want to look into those and find a cost-effective one that makes sense for you, that allows you to do those administrative tasks effectively, smoothly, and without a lot of burden and consuming your time. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the ethical rules. As lawyers, we all have to comply with the rules of professional conduct, and freelance lawyers are certainly no different. And freelancing can add an additional layer of complexity that we need to be thoughtful about. So Rule 1.1 of the model rules speaks to competence. You need to only do work that's really within your wheelhouse. Rule 5.4 restricts fee splitting. You need to be thoughtful about whether your fee arrangement with the hiring attorney could be considered impermissible fee splitting. Rule 1.6 imposes confidentiality requirements. So, what restrictions are you putting in place? Do you have an NDA? Are there agreements like that that need to be created between you and the hiring attorney to ensure and protect that confidentiality? Rules 1.7 through 1.1 of the model rules deal with conflicts of interest. We all understand what conflicts of interest are, but as a freelance lawyer working for multiple clients, you need to be very cognizant of who you've worked for and ensure that there aren't conflicts of interest in subsequent matters, and how you manage those are very important and a little bit more complicated as a freelance attorney. Rules 5.3 and 5.5 deal with the unauthorized practice of law. Can you be providing services to another attorney? Are they barred in your state? Are you otherwise compliant? These are things that are important to consider. So if you're not working through a platform like LAWCLERK, who solve these ethical considerations and ensure that you can freelance and be ethically compliant, you really need to think about your state's the applicable states' rules of professional conduct. And we've been talking a little bit about the model rules. They've been adopted in all 50 states in some form or fashion, so they're a great blanket way to talk about it. But you need to look to your state-specific rules of professional conduct. So things you need to think about too are you barred in the state where the services are being rendered, or are you working in a paraprofessional capacity? Is there a clear delineation of duties between you and the hiring attorney, including who has that attorney-client relationship, who's providing the services, what is the role of the hiring attorney compared to your role? Do you have a mechanism for checking conflicts for each new project that you're taking on? Do you have the knowledge, the skill in order to appropriately and completely handle this project? And like we talked about before, how is this fee being structured? And are you sure that you're not going to run afoul of the fee splitting issues? You also need to think about malpractice insurance. If you are engaged in the practice of law, if you are providing the legal advice to the client, certainly recommend that you have malpractice insurance in place if you can. While it's not required by all states, it's certainly a best practice. The easiest solution is to work through a legal freelancing marketplace like LAWCLERK that has worked through and solved all these ethical issues to ensure that you're able to provide your services as a freelance attorney without running afoul of any of the rules of professional conduct. All right, we'll finish here with just a couple of best practices. So communication is key. Communication, like every other relationship you have, is perhaps the most important facet of your relationship as a freelancer with the hiring attorney. Make sure that you are both clear on what the deadlines are, on what the scope of work is, what the expectations are. Having that clear communication, those open lines of communication and clear expectations will ensure that you have a fruitful and great ongoing working relationship with the hiring attorney. Second big tip is be responsive. The hiring attorneys are busy, you're busy. This is how things fall through the cracks. This is how people get frustrated. Do your very best to be responsive to the hiring attorney so that everybody understands what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, and that you have that good working relationship. Be sure to capture your time. So you have to assume that the attorney that has engaged you is likely billing your time out to their clients so that they can make money. Make sure you're capturing your time accurately so that you're getting paid, there's no conflict with the attorney, and that attorney then can also bill it out to their clients so that it's win-win-win for everybody. The final point is obvious, but we're stating meet deadlines. The practice of law is full of deadlines. Clients have deadlines. Opposing counsel sets deadlines. Courts have deadlines. It is important and critical to having a successful freelance career that you meet the deadlines that are established with your hiring attorneys. That's going to ensure repeat work. It's going to build a great relationship, and it's going to ensure that you are a successful freelance attorney. Freelancing is the way of the future. Everyone from the AmLaw 50 firms to your mid-sized firms to your solo firms are utilizing freelance lawyers. You can build the practice you want, the career you want, whether you want to work 20 hours a month, you want to work 160 hours a month, you want to work nights, you want to work from the beach, whatever it is that you want out of your freelancing practice, you can have it. You just simply need to decide that you want to embark on a freelance career and go grab it.